The Golem That Remembered. In the heart of a verdant valley, nestled between rolling hills and a winding river, lay a quiet village. Its sturdy wooden homes and quaint cobblestone paths hummed with the gentle rhythm of daily life. At the village's edge, half hidden by creeping vines in the shade of a towering oak, stood a silent sentinel. An iron golem, its metallic shell dulled by time, its arms frozen mid-reach, had been deactivated for seasons beyond count. Its floral nose, a curious addition by some long-gone villager, was chipped, and its once glowing eyes were dark, lifeless voids. It was a relic, a forgotten guardian, left to rust quietly. A solemn monument to a forgotten threat or depleted redstone circuit. The villagers had grown accustomed to its stillness, often leaning against its cold frame during sun-drenched afternoons, their children weaving flower crowns around its sturdy ankles. It was a comforting landmark, a symbol of protection, even in its inert state. The comfort, like the stillness of a deep cave, could be deceptive. One evening, as the twin moons climbed high, casting long, fractured shadows across the village square, a strange energy stirred. It wasn't the whisper of a distant Enderman, nor the guttural growl of a zombie horde. It was a deep, resonant hum, pulsing from beneath the earth, a forgotten echo of ancient redstone circuits long buried. A faint, almost imperceptible tremor rippled through the ground, unnoticed by the sleeping villagers. But the golem felt it. Deep within its metallic heart, something flickered. A single, faint spark, like a distant star igniting in the void. Then another, and another. The dull gray of its eyes began to glow, a faint orange at first, then a warm, steady yellow. A low grinding groan, like stones shifting deep underground, rumbled through its chest plate. Its massive right arm creaked, slowly lifting, then dropping with a heavy thud that shook the soil. The villagers awoke with a start, peeking from their windows, their quiet murmurs rippling through the night. The golem was moving, not just a twitch or a settling, but a deliberate shift. Its head turned slowly, its glowing eyes scanning the village, a silent, searching gaze. Relief mingled with a profound unease. It was reactivated, yes, but its movements were hesitant, its posture oddly uncertain. It didn't immediately begin its familiar patrol. Instead, it stood there, its head tilted, as if listening to a distant, unheard song. A memory, not a clear image, but a sensation. A flash of heat, the smell of sulfur, the sound of grinding stone. Its metallic brow, though unexpressive, seemed to furrow with a strange, internal confusion. It took a ponderous step, its heavy footfall cracking the cobblestones beneath. It wasn't moving towards the village perimeter, as its programming dictated. It was moving away from it, its glowing eyes fixed on the distant shadowy peaks to the west. The villagers watched, bewildered and a little afraid. A few brave souls ventured out, cautiously approaching the resurrected guardian. One younger villager, with a bright green tunic, called out a soft "Hm?" a sound of inquiry and apprehension. The golem didn't respond. It simply continued its slow, deliberate march towards the unknown, leaving the perplexed villagers in its wake. The journey was long and arduous. The golem seemed to navigate by instinct, or perhaps by some forgotten internal compass. It lumbered through dense forests, its iron forms scraping against rough bark, scattering flocks of startled bats. It waded through shallow rivers, the water bubbling around its massive legs, reflecting the strange, persistent glow of its eyes. Its internal mechanisms, once dormant, whirred and clanked. A symphony of reawakened purpose, yet its objective remained unclear, even to itself. Fragments of memory continued to flash behind its luminous gaze, jagged crimson blocks, impossibly hot to the touch, the wail of a monstrous creature, a vast, echoing chamber, dark and oppressive, and always, the swirling purple mist of a portal, beckoning, whispering a forgotten name. The name caused a strange surge of power within its frame, a primal urge that contradicted the gentle, protective programming now humming through its core. It encountered threats, as any creature in the wildlands of Minecraft inevitably would. A pack of zombies, their arms outstretched, shambled towards it, their groans echoing through the twilight. The golem's response was immediate, instinctual. Its powerful arms swung in wide arcs, sending the undead creature scattering into dust and discarded cloth. But it didn't linger. It didn't patrol the area for further threats. Its gaze remained fixed on the western horizon, its true purpose pulling it forward. Its movements, while effective in combat, seemed almost absent-minded, as if its true focus lay elsewhere. A creeper, its fuse hissing softly, materialized behind a cluster of trees, creeping closer with malicious intent. The golem, sensing the shift in air pressure, spun on its heel, its iron fist connected with the creeper's body with a resonant thud. The blast, when it came, was immense, tearing a crater in the earth and sending debris flying. Yet, the golem stood firm, its metallic body barely scratched, its eyes unwavering. It simply continued its relentless trek, leaving the smoking crater as a testament to its passage. Days turned into nights, and the landscape grew harsher. The lush greenery gave way to desolate plains, scarred by deep ravines and ancient weathered stone. The air grew heavier, thick with an almost tangible sense of dread. The golem pressed on, its footsteps echoing in the silence, until it arrived at its destination. It was a site of forgotten power, partially swallowed by the earth. A towering frame of obsidian, jagged and dark, stood half-collapsed at the bottom of a gaping ravine. Vines, thick as a man's arm, clung to its edges, and moss coated its cold surface. It was a nether portal, ancient and long dormant. The golem stopped before it, its luminous eyes widening, not with surprise, but with recognition. The fragmented memories coalesced, flooding its internal processors with a torrent of terrifying clarity. It remembered. It remembered the searing heat, the screams that echoed from within the portal. The terrible ancient power was designed to guard, not villagers. Never villagers. Its original purpose was to contain, to defend, to keep alive, something that should never see the light of the overworld. A wither summoning chamber, protected by its very form, deep within the fiery bowels of the nether. It was a guardian, yes, but of a destructive, malevolent force. A deep, metallic groan escaped its chest, a sound of profound internal conflict. Its powerful hands instinctively reached out, tracing the outline of the obsidian frame. It remembered the precise sequence, the exact redstone pulses, the very ritual needed to reactivate it. It could feel the pull, the ancient call of its first true purpose, urging it to step through, to resume its dark vigil, to perhaps even summon the creature it was meant to guard. The ground vibrated faintly beneath its feet as it began to move. Its right arm shifted, its fingers flexing, as if reaching for a piece of obsidian to complete the frame, or flint and steel to ignite the gateway. The air shimmered, thick with anticipation. It was moments away from reactivating the portal, from fulfilling a purpose born of darkness. But then, a different set of memories asserted themselves. Not fragments of fire and ash, but flashes of sun-dappled cobblestones. The distant, gentle bleating of sheep. The small, soft hands of villagers, reaching up to touch its cold iron skin. The innocent, trusting gaze of a child, placing a flower in its chipped nose. The quiet joy of a sunrise over the peaceful valley it had just left. The simple, pure programming of its current existence. To protect the innocent. A violent shudder ran through its frame, a clash of two opposing directives. The ancient dark purpose, demanding obedience, fighting against the new, simple, yet powerful imperative of protection. It stood there poised, its glowing eyes fixed on the empty portal frame. Then slowly, agonizingly, it turned its head, its gaze sweeping across the quiet, desolate landscape towards the distant, unseen village. With a final, earth-shaking rumble, a sound that seemed to echo the very core of its being, the golem made its choice. Its massive left hand rose, not to strike flint against steel, but to descend with bone-jarring force upon one of the obsidian blocks of the portal frame, jarring it loose. The ancient gateway, on the cusp of reactivation, shuddered, and then fell silent once more. The invisible pull vanished. The dark memories receded, though they did not vanish entirely. Slowly, heavily, the golem turned its back on the disabled portal, on the whispers of its dark past, and began the long, arduous journey back towards the distant village. Its steps were no longer uncertain, nor were they driven by a phantom call. They were deliberate, resolute, each heavy footfall carrying the weight of its profound choice. When it finally re-entered the village, covered in dust and faint streaks of mud, the villagers watched it with a mix of awe and lingering apprehension. It didn't pause for recognition or praise. It simply walked to its usual post at the village edge, its floral nose still chipped, its eyes still glowing, though perhaps with a newfound intensity. It resumed its patrol, its gaze scanning the perimeters with a renewed vigilance. But its movements were different now. There was a quiet wisdom in its heavy steps, a profound understanding in its luminous eyes. It was a guardian, yes, but one burdened by a history it chose to deny, a dark secret it carried within its metallic heart. The golem remembered, and because it remembered, it understood the true value of what it now protected, with an iron will forged not just from metal, but from a choice made in the shadow of a forgotten terror.